Hi everybody, and welcome back to This Week in Magic Online Finance. I'm your host, Chaz Andres, and let's get started, as always, with today's news. There's only one topic you really want me to cover right now, right? It's Dominaria, it's exciting, it's here, it's on MTGO, and I can't really talk much about movers and shakers and risers and fallers in terms of online prices because the set has just not been out on MTGO long enough. I can talk a little bit about paper magic because I can compare the figures that the cards are selling at today to the pre-order prices from last week, but I really can't compare those numbers across platforms. Paper and MTGO prices are often very different for very different reasons. We can look at some overall trends though, cards that are going up and cards that maybe aren't exciting early on. So what cards are people excited about right now? Well, it's Karn, Scion of Urza, Lyra Dawnbringer, History of Benalia, and Tashar, Ancestor's Apostle. Those have been the biggest gainers so far based on the prices they were at last week. And the first three aren't surprising. Karn seems to be the chase mythic of the set, History of Benalia and Lyra Dawnbringer not far behind, but Tashar is a card I had dismissed early in the pre-order period. I'm now reevaluating based on some of the stuff I've seen written about him from some of the pros like Brad Nelson over at Star City Games, and it's a card that I think might actually end up making an impact early on. So if you're value conscious, you might want to pick up a couple of these, or at least don't pass them in draft. So what cards are trending down? Well, you've got Shalai, Voice of Plenty, Thran Temporal Gateway, and Chandra's Outburst. Of those, the only card that's really surprising to me is Shalai. The card seems great, and, well, it is still quite expensive on MTGO. I still think the card is going to be good. Don't forget, we're still on week 0 of results. We haven't seen any competitive decks yet. So it's still possible that Shalai is going to be great, and Karn's going to be a bust, and we just don't know yet. It's too early to say. Regardless, the smart money is on selling pretty much any interesting card you open in Dominaria right away. The set stabilized somewhere between a week and a half and 3 weeks after release, so in the meantime, prices overall are much higher than they're going to be later. Yeah, there are going to be a couple of cards that spike from 2 to 10, and you're going to wish you didn't sell those or that you bought more, but the rest of the index is coming down. So when in doubt, just sell now. Trust me. Let's move on to Gaining Ground, non-Dominaria edition, where in Standard it was Heart of Kiran, jumping just 2 tickets from 6 up to 8. And probably this is because of the Black-Red Vehicles deck that's recently entered Standard's top tier. Though, honestly, the most common builds of that deck don't even run Heart of Kiran. So what's going on here? Well, to me, it's because people thought that the Challenger decks were going to be released online, and they weren't. So Heart of Kiran ended up dropping a little bit lower than it should have online, and once a little bit of demand re-entered the market, the price is heading back toward the 10 ticket mark. It probably shouldn't have dropped as much as it did in the first place, and now it's stabilizing back where it should be. Moving on to Modern, where Mox Opal had yet another crazy week. It surged 6 tickets from 64 up to 70, which is its historic high. Mox Opal has never been more expensive on MTGO, and honestly, it's never been more expensive in paper magic either. It shows no sign of stabilizing either there or here. So where is it gonna end? 70 tickets? 80? 90? It's reached $100 in paper magic, so the sky is kind of the limit here. And regardless of where it ends up, this is going to be one of the 3 or 4 most expensive cards in Modern until something either drastically changes in the metagame, which is unlikely, or it's eventually reprinted again. Moving on to our biggest loser, where in Standard it was actually Walking Ballista, one of the biggest gainers of last week. It dropped 5 tickets from 27 down to 22, and this feels like more of a correction to me than any kind of reversal of trend. It went on a crazy rally last week, probably higher than it should, but it's still a really important card in both Standard's top tier and Modern's top tier. So I really don't think that Walking Ballista is going to be dropping below 20. I think it's pretty stable where it is, sort of in this 21 to 22 ticket range. That's where it was earlier in the month, and that's probably where it belongs for now. Now, over in Modern, we had some pretty significant big losers this week. Cavern of Souls was the biggest. It dropped 10 tickets from 40 all the way down to 30. Also, Collective Brutality and Horizon Canopy lost 6 tickets apiece this week. So what's going on? Is the modern metagame changing significantly? Is humans done? I don't think so. I think this is one of those things where a new set has come out and people are selling some of their modern cards so that they can afford to buy the latest, coolest new tech. Now, it is worth mentioning that Magic card prices tend to drop over the summer, and we're getting towards summer even though it's cold in most places still. So maybe this is evidence of an overall cooling trend that's going to be affecting the scorching hot modern market. But I don't see that yet. I don't think we're there yet. I do think that'll happen. We'll pay attention to that in late May and early June, but for now, I think these specific cards are going to rebound. Now, my sneak of this week is Back to Basics from Urza's Saga. The card had spiked as high as 40 tickets in the winter of 2017, and it was down below 10 earlier this year. It's up to about 20 now and continuing to rise, and look, it doesn't see a ton of play in Legacy, but it's a really scarce card, and it had a major spike in paper earlier this year. I bet it's gonna hit 30 again before long, just based on that. Let's take a look at the MTGO Trader's sales data over the past 7 days. And as always, this gives us the clearest picture of what is selling best on Magic Online right now, regardless of the other trends. So it's worth noting that Dominaria cards are not gonna be on this list right now. They've only been legal for a couple of days. That's not enough to get them into these sales figures. So please tune in next week when we take a deeper look at the Dominaria sales figures. For now though, it is worth noting that Llanowar Elves has creeped into the top 5 overall cards sold as people ready themselves for the new standard format. Now in terms of overall rares sold, Thoughtseize is still doing really well. It was number 1 last week, it's still number 2. I still really like that one long term. We have a new number 1 most sold rare of the week. It's Wooded Foothills. And that one's been sneaking up for a little while now. It's been gaining about a ticket a week for a couple of weeks, and it may pop off at some point. Definitely buy those now if you think you're gonna need them. Now in terms of overall value sold, it's Mox Opal. And it's Mox Opal by a very, very big margin. Seriously, it's almost twice what the second place card is, and when I said earlier that this one's going to 80 or 90, this is why. People really, really want their Mox Opals right now, and they're willing to pay a premium to get them. Now the second place card is Jace the Mind Sculptor, which is kind of interesting because Jace the Mind Sculptor hasn't really showed up in any top modern decks recently. It's been kind of a disappointment so far, but it's still selling well, and the price is absolutely steady, both online and in paper, so I guess you go, Jace. You're gonna keep doing well no matter what, and I don't see any reason to downgrade my predictions for this card's price. It's looking pretty stable regardless of how much play it actually sees. And that'll do it for me this week. Don't forget to tune in next Monday when we get deeper into the Dominaria prices. In the meantime, please like the video if you liked it, and subscribe if you like the channel. I'll see you next Monday for This Week in Magic Online Finance.